That's usually the point. All right, welcome everybody. Finally, the premiere episode of Gwent After Dark. A lot of excitement about this. A lot of things going good. A lot of things going a little not so good. So we've had a couple of changes to the program. We've been working really hard behind the scenes, put on a good show. But apparently, the Gwent After Dark is very apropos because people got lost in the dark. Apparently, because we have to have an all new show with all new, all different cast. I am Shifu the Cards. I am here. But first, I'll introduce you to the cast tonight. And first, we're going to start off with. I'll go into their roles a little bit as we go. But first one, our resident critic, the top right eye in our thing, Mr. Feels Bad. Hello, sir.
How's it going, guys?
It's going good, man. So tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I'm an avid gamer. I've been doing it since NES. I actually started hardcore gaming in the around Half-Life 1 area, and never really shined until I got into MMOs and like RPGs, things of that nature. I enjoy Witcher 3 a little bit, and I did a little bit of Gwent whenever it came out, and everybody was talking about it, but I never really delved really extremely deep into it. I'm a movie critic just as much as a game critic, and I'm also a music buff. You can't really say critic because everybody has different tastes, but I enjoy gaming in general. I do it every night. I put about roughly 5 to 7 hours each day, and right now, currently, I'm playing World of Warcraft, a constant raid in League of Legends.
Awesome, dude. And so now we have a special guest. He goes by the name of Death the Loving. And tell us a little about yourself, Death.
Oh, well, I'm also a pretty avid gamer, but haven't been gaming. I've been gaming since maybe I was like 6, so that's 13 years, roughly. So, yeah, I started playing Gwent since after the Kill the Servers, and mainly, well, only on Tabletop Simulator. And I made a couple decks, having fun. I like it much better than other card games that are out there. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, okay. Well, so we look at if you're looking at the screen, you're joining us on Gwent After Dark. You see everybody's names prominently displayed. So I want to do something a little understated for my name. So we're gonna go ahead and show that here. The we're gonna go ahead and show that. Okay. So I'm Shifu the Cards. I will be the host and running you through this evening. I wanted something subtle and understated for my name. I hope y'all appreciate that. So we're gonna start it off. So we're gonna go ahead and lower the screen, and we are going to start off with our show and how it's going to look. There we go, pulling back the curtain as we speak. How about that for effects, huh? It's getting good. So you see myself, you see our two co-hosts at the bottom, and you also see our audience tonight. We're going to go ahead and go to the server. Oh, we're still working out the technical issues sometimes. We're going to go to the server now and get it onto the audience screen. So we're going to go ahead and go to Gwent After Dark, and there we go. We're there. So Conger is there. We have a live studio, our first studio audience participation. We have Conger. Conger, welcome. You're the first member of Gwent After Dark audience. Kudos to you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about the show and kind of what it's different and what it's going to be about, right? So Feels Bad is a really good critic, and he is going to, on a weekly basis, until we get revving a little bit more, on a weekly basis, he's going to critique different things about the Gwent community. He's going to critique decks that come out. He's going to critique guest hosts. He's going to critique different things. We're going to have a good discussion about that and hopefully get some movements going. Death of Loving is here as a special guest tonight, filling in. Ruben is normally the guest host, but we have lost him in the dark. So thank you again to Death of Loving for filling in. And so what we're going to start off with is we thought, where can we... all right, y'all can feel free to chime at this point. It's open mic. So what we're going to start off with is we're going to give this over to Feels Bad, and he has done a special Gwent After Dark exclusive, his first critique. Tell us about it, Feels Bad. What did you critique this week?
I did roughly about 3 or 4 videos of yours, especially picked by you to actually have me look at, and I personally. I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot of movies. I watch a lot of different things, and I kind of felt like it's a good experience to watch people get into their own and start something that gets them out of their comfort zone. And the ones that I actually critiqued was skillage control. Let's see, Gwent during GamesCon, the Graveyards and Dragons, and he did one of the Kung Fu Panda, Destiny Monkey Madness. That's basically what it's going down. Now, the monkey one was a fairly new one. He was new to doing this, so I didn't hate on too much on that side of things, because when you start new, you pretty much just starting off in a clean slab. And me, I'm an artist, so I have to look at things in the limelight of how was I in the beginning of something versus something in the middle. So I was probably a little harsher on his newer stuff, because more time goes on, the more you're progressing, and I have to actually see progression. So we're going to talk about the original video that he talked about. It was the Kung Fu Panda one. Now, the content and all that, I never played the game, I'm not going to lie.
Not many people did, to be honest.
I'm not a huge hard player game either, but I'm going to try to walk into this little situation and try to learn how to play. And I think the highlight of that video alone was the hat. That was a beautiful thing that I thought he was trying to pull in the audience with a kooky little idea, and it worked pretty well. I think the only biggest problem in that situation was him looking left or right. I concentrated in him actually telling me that he's doing it. Whoa.
Hello?
Did anybody hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little technical difficulties there for a second.
Okay.
Live
You're still there. You just caught Coyote.
live show.
Anyway, I guess we'll wing it. So the video was decent. He showed what the characters are about. It was his first try, and this is really, I give him a noble answer. In the Gwent Graveyards and Dragons, I gave it an okay rating. I see him progressing a little better. He's showing each moves, each thing. I find when it comes to card games, which I actually saw with our person that was supposed to be here and him also, is that they always have to go down the line and show you what each card does, and I think it's overbearing, but at the same time it has to be done. So you have to kind of have to sit down and play this game and actually know all these cards before you at hand to make it less troublesome. But at the same time, you have to expect everybody to not know what the hell you're talking about. And skillish control, that's my favorite one because that was the first one I watched. It was supposed to be his best, and it is his best in his newest version. But I did find it really funny that he put text right in the wording of the card itself, so I couldn't barely read the whole damn thing half the time. So I was like sitting there, I was like, wait, what? What are we talking about again? And that's okay because he's trying to learn how to do editing and put graphics behind things. And that's cool, fine and dandy. I'm all good with that. Shifu is trying his best to get into the YouTube world, and I give him props for being better than me because I've never even tried. So, now I am. So, the thing that I have to say is I find the game is very different, unique. When I played it in Witcher 3, I enjoyed it drastically. But, like I said before, I never was a card player, mostly, so I went into the game blinded by something that I never expected to be there. And I enjoyed it, but I stopped doing it in total after that because I guess I did the card game and never finished the game, so it was pretty much those twins of hell of seeing something. But I did have a lot of experience with Witcher. I actually played Witcher 2 and Witcher 1. Witcher 2 and Witcher 1 was a unique atmosphere because I walked into this playing like Half-Life and like Unreal Tournament and all these different games that are driven on great controls and great atmospheres, great easy to learn concepts. And what I got in return with Witcher 2 and Witcher 1 was not so much. It almost felt like I wanted to grab my keyboard and slam it in my head and then slam the TV right after because I couldn't handle playing the damn game. But I enjoyed what I could play, but I couldn't play it too long because of the controls. But the game itself was great for what it was. Now,
so apparently, along with being in the dark and losing co-hosts and stuff, we have some lightning storms and things like that. So there's power outages. Also, we've just fixed the audio. Feels bad. It looked like it was kind of low, so our audience was like they couldn't hear you. So while the lightning crackles and the energy is shooting off around the screen, what he just did was he kind of reviewed some of my early videos.
Oh God.
dude, seriously.
He's reviewing some of my early videos. Reviewing some of my early videos. And
This will be edited out there. Don't worry.
yeah, at some point.
Dude, left ear.
So it looks like while the static electricity in the room settles down. There we go.
Okay.
And while the mic eats itself.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll mute him when the mic starts to go crazy, and then so your ears are saved. We're working through bugs, as you can. Yeah, so we're working through some stuff. Anyway, so what he was doing is he's going through the old decks, and he was looking at. We lost our other co-host. So co-host is down. So we are looking at now. It's going to be Feels Bad and I for the rest of the show. And Death of Loving is gone in the dark. Technical difficulties abound. We're going to use this as a learning experience. So he was critiquing my decks, and he was giving good critique. So Feels Bad, if you could go ahead and redo the critique of my newest video. I forgot what it was called now. Skellige Control.
Yeah.
Would appreciate it. So let's try that again from the top, if you don't mind, sir. For those of you who can now hear you.
Oh, I wish we kind of ironed that out before we started, but okay. So.
Well, it was going good. It was going good, except all of a sudden now there's microphone crackling and all sorts of crazy stuff happening.
Anyway, so what really went down was I kind of look at the critiquing of where you put the graphics at because it was blocking all the words of the cards, so I kind of had to basically listen to you more than actually read because I like to read the cards just as much as actually look at that. And also, I don't know what I'm walking into. It's like a new world to me, so I'm just sitting down, reading, watching, and just understanding. And I see where he's going because he actually a long time ago I didn't even bring this up when I was critiquing, but Shifu came on to what was the name of that game, Hearthstone, and absolutely destroyed me in all its glory out of nowhere. First day I ever touched the game.
Right, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first aspect of playing a card game in general. So I like reading the cards. I like understanding, and I have a little bit of understanding of what happened with Gwent when it came to Witcher 3. So I knew what he was talking about with the rose and the understanding of how many health points and hits and how to use the game and everything else. So I enjoyed that aspect of things. And I think the other thing I really appreciate is his finer details of figuring out what if you have this card and this card will actually max out that card. And I need you to change the name of that deck, if you don't mind.
What do you
I
mean?
think you should, Skrillex, whatever, what was it called?
Skellige Control?
Skellige Control. You need to call it the Bears.
The Bear.
The
fair,
Bears.
fair enough. Yeah. Okay. The Bear. That's for the older members of our audience that may remember that sketch.
Yeah. I laughed. When I saw you talking about the Bears over and over again, I remembered our friendship back in the day. We always said the Bears.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back in the video again, the only thing I really loved, your consistent time period after the video, and I had no clue what the fuck was going on. You were like, wait, did it record? I don't, wait a minute, what's going on? And then shuts off.
Yes, man. I am all about. As you can tell from this production value of this show, I am all about professional. Let's see. How many co-hosts have we lost already? Feels bad. Seriously. Two. So we're down 2.
First show.
Yeah, we're 16 minutes in and we have lost 2 co-hosts. We're doing good. Congress said Alzur's Thunder's been hit on the mic, which is a little Gwent joke, which yeah. So it was good. Okay, so that was a critique of me, and I appreciate it, Shannon. That was really good. I think that's kind of his. He's very insightful. He's a very good critic, and I'm glad to have him on board. And I'm especially glad that he didn't get either struck by lightning or lost in the dark. So, bonus to Shannon. I'm sorry, feels bad just sticking it out. I'm going to make that mistake 1,000 times. So, we also had a little fun, right? So, I'm horrible and getting better at YouTube, and I appreciate that, Shannon. So, I'm trying. Feels bad. Oof. So I appreciate that. I don't know. Shannon's a dog that I have running around, so sometimes I get confused. We also had him do an assignment, right? So one of the greatest Gwent YouTube people and a celebrity in our ranks on the Gwent Discord server, and we had kind of a little competition, but not really, is King Black Tooth. So Shannon, did you get a chance to look at any King Black Tooth's videos?
Yeah, I sat down and watched his videos. The production quality is a little bit more veteran.
Right? Yeah.
It is. But I don't look at that as a total thing that makes it better. Because the thing about me is having content. And content is a beast that's kind of hard to show when you have like all this production quality. It's like watching a Michael Bay film versus a Lord of the Rings movie.
Wait, did you just call me a Lord of the Rings movie? I'm trying to take a compliment here. Seriously? Like I would have.
Yeah, in some eyes, yeah.
Oh man. So am I Frodo? Am I Sauron? Which one are we at? Come on, man. Give it to me, a good one.
I say you're Samwise.
Ow. Samwise, are you serious?
He's a real hero.
Sorry. What?
Okay, so I don't want to get away from the subject, which we just did, but I think I just blew your mind.
Go ahead. So
he had to carry Frodo. He had to fight off a spider to keep Frodo alive.
Oh, fair enough.
He had to do all this and get nothing in return.
Uh-huh.
He didn't get any glory. He didn't get any understanding of who he was. He didn't get any love from any of the characters. They were like, "Oh, Frodo, you're amazing." But it was Samwise that did everything.
So you're saying that I'm going to get no recognition for this. What you're saying is I'm going to go unknown.
You're going to go unknown until you get better.
Nice.
But once you get better, you will step up to the Aragon style.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so go back to KBT, King Black Tooth. And so just so everybody knows, Stretch A. I don't know how to pronounce that other than that. We're not, this is fun. There's no competition. I love King Black Tooth. He's the man. We're just kind of doing a critique because right now, Feels Bad is not versed enough to critique the cards of Gwent. So what he can do, because he's a movie critic by nature, is to review how bad I am, which he's done very well. And now we're going to look at King Black Tooth and do like a little, he's going to do his critiquing styles on a more polished streamer. And that's kind of where we're at. It's not a negative thing at all. It's Stretch. Got you. So, sorry, Feels Bad. Continue, please, sir.
So, we got the lightning back.
Yeah, I think he's going to go ahead and have to leave because I think that's what's causing the feedback. Okay, so we're going to try to keep up. I think that's what happened when we added Death of Loving, who's back now. Thank you. that might have caused some feedback. I'm not sure. We're going to try it again. So continue, feels bad.
So, I watched 2 of his videos. I don't remember the names of them because they pretty much was the same beast to me. There was nothing that saw any difference between the characters and everything else. Like in the same beginning video, he put his picture at the same spot. He had not much flaws when it came to production quality, but when it came to him as a person, monotone, didn't bring any much humor inside the realm, but at the same time, he's very professional and really well put together, and he knew what he was doing and everything else. Where
Shifu.
Shifu. Shifu was very much more trying to put the pieces together as he was doing it, and that more was a natural aspect of things. But at the same time, it was a little bit less professional as what he was. And then also, I have a favorite YouTube artist. I'm not gonna drop any names or anything else, but he does the same thing as damn it, I can't think of his name.
Shifu, King Blacktooth.
King Blacktooth. Okay, there you go. King Blacktooth. He moves his hands around a lot. If you watch his videos, he's very he's motion moving his hands around and everything else, and nothing's bad about that. My other favorite YouTube artist does the same exact thing, and it kind of gives more influence or understanding of what he's trying to go to make you see what he's talking about. But when you do that, you might actually kind of throw some people off or on watching your videos, because some people like it, some people don't, and that's just how it is. You can't really change anything. Back to you, Shifu, though. I forgot one thing to talk about. Your name is Shifu the Cards, right?
It is.
I think you need to be called Shifu the Smack.
Of the what? Of the snack? Is
Smack.
Okay, go ahead.
SMACK.
Okay, go ahead.
Because you smack your lips.
I was not.
Put them out.
Yeah. I was noticing that I was like, oh god, it's hard to watch my videos sometimes.
Well, everybody has their flaws, and it's better to take criticism.
Yeah, definitely. That's why you're here. No, so that's why you're here. So that's what I want. It's like to start discussion, right? So all of a sudden it's gonna be like, oh my god, feels bad, just shots fired at King Blacktooth. No, it's a critique. That's it'll help all of us get better. He's very well versed, been doing critiques for years. So it's all just in I'm showing you his talents. And he and I are friends, and he'll tell it like it is, and I've always respected that about Feels Bad. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. He's not going to sugarcoat it. He's going to come right out at you, and that's why I wanted him for the show. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think that it's good to have a voice. He's going to upset some people. That's why Gwent After Dark is different. One of the things that I wanted about this show is it is easy to have two people that love Gwent having a love fest, right? It's easy to say, man, King Blacktooth is the man, and he is. But it's another thing to have a voice on here that's not afraid to take the hard stance and to say things that are true. And also, I mean, Feels Bad is not 100% right all the time, but it's his opinion. And so your opinions are always your own. And I value this man. He's a good addition to the show. And he's going to make people mad. Like, I'm telling you. It's going to be misconstrued and everything else. But he is worth having on board for his voice. So I thank you, Feels Bad, for being a part of the show.
That's no problem.
So, Death of Loving, welcome back. I see you found your way out of the dark. What's up?
I've found the light. I've reached the end. Okay.
You fought the lightning?
I did.
You came back stronger than ever?
I did. I had to control it. I had to tell it who was boss. I had to let the lightning know that.
Which row was he on, though? I mean, I have to know if we're even talking about that.
Nice.
The lightning, I think I was on the siege row because there's rain involved with lightning.
All right.
See what you're getting? You're getting Gwent After Dark is bringing the Gwent humor, which is very nice. Yeah, and stretch. I appreciate it, man. I love building decks. That's kind of what I love to do. So I appreciate it. So what we're going to do now, and I thank you for being a part of the show, man. Thank you for being there from the beginning. I appreciate that. What we're going to do now is we're going to do something a little different. This show, by the way, will be streamed on YouTube, and we're going to do some cuts, obviously, of the lightning storms. Probably going to take that part out. And we're going to do some podcasts, probably take the lightning storm and losing the co-host and everything out. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look at a little different. Now, this is where Feels Bad's a little out of his element, but he can always add insight. Feels Bad, please feel free to do that. Death of Loving can add some insight. What I wanted to do originally with Ruben, who I hope will be back next week, I hope he finds his way here, is we were going to do a history of Gwent, retrospective. I was going to have a special guest. The special guest also got lost. Ruben got lost. So,
The lightning got him.
my lightning probably got him or something. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at what I like to call, and it's been called, well, just by me really, and I guess my co-hosts today because they don't know any better, the new Gwent. And this is a very, very popular subject. Now, Death of Loving played it a little bit during Witcher 3, which I like to call classic Gwent. I know I'm creative, right? And I loved classic Gwent. Feels Bad, you didn't really play too much, right?
No, I played a very minimal amount.
Okay, so you didn't play too much. So what I loved about it. We have my producer over here, by the way, Bradley. Thank you for being part of the show, Bradley.
Yeah.
Know that y'all can see him, but know that he's right next to me, freaking out over sound quality, trying to get everything fixed. Right now, I'm just looking at myself, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Anyway, so.
Oh. Got a problem with the stream.
Okay, so it looks like we are.
Gonna cut this out. That's what it looks like.
Okay, it's back. Okay, so there we go. Like I said, there'll be some things we're learning here. I'm kind of glad that all these things are happening in the first show, so we can kind of get it straight. But this content's going to be good. So anyway, so look at Classic Gwent. I loved Classic Gwent. All right, I loved it, loved it, loved it. Everybody did. That's why we're all here. And it's very simplistic, right? You could have 3 decoys. You could have 3 scorches. Decoys were strong. Spies were overpowered, and then they changed it. And it was the part where Ruben or anybody, if anybody wants to jump in, by the way, feel free to, to say anything. We can talk about it. Excuse me. But this is when CD Projekt Red, and the audience too, by the way, audience participation, jump in, stretch, anyone. Classic was one of my favorite card games ever. I just love the simplicity of it. And so the GamesCon cards and Gwent database was a great tool, and I would build decks, and they were rated pretty high, and it was really fun, and it was awesome to build decks. And they changed a lot from Classic Gwent, and they made it into GamesCon Gwent, and I had some good videos. The one that Shannon reviewed was from GamesCon Gwent, and I kind of wanted. He didn't know that, right? So I'm sorry, Feels Bad reviewed that. He reviewed a GamesCon Gwent deck, which was those are the first ones I did, and then he did the new one. Yeah, so Stretch had a good point. He's like, Stretch is actually gonna be a co-host. Looks like. Classic Gwent was a good time, not multiplayer friendly. Exactly. But I don't know. Is it though? I mean, seriously, wouldn't it be fun to have that as a game mode? What do y'all think? Y'all can jump in here too. Our audience can jump in. I think that Classic Gwent would be fun to have as like a alternate, kind of like Hearthstone. Not to hate to bring up Hearthstone, but Hearthstone has like those alternate game modes. How cool would it be to have Classic Gwent? Trademark.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, no man, go.
So I come from a multiplayer world. I play a lot of PvP-based games, and a lot of world-based games, and play a lot of one-player games. And when it came to Gwent, I enjoyed the atmosphere, the idea, the way the classic went. I mean, but the thing was that I was kind of just trying to push through the game itself, and it kind of do that. Now, if you want to talk about like the certain status of multiplayer versus single-player atmosphere, I play mostly PC, so I'm going to talk about PC more than anything else at this moment. When you do a single-player aspect of things, a lot of companies, I'm not even bringing up The Witcher, because Witcher is absolutely amazing as a company. They're not going to do this, but chances are it could actually happen because everybody's going to this. But they use a single player, but online. so you can get updates and everything else, but actually hold the person down from going play at a airport or something like that. But multiplayer is amazing concept in my eyes for Gwent because it feels like it would be specifically made like another version of Magic.
Yeah.
Or another version of Pokemon, or another version of like this. The things when I was going to Books A Million, I used to go in there, and they have these crap load of kids, and these kind of 30, 40-year-old guys in the midst of them playing card games, and I would just go read books, of course, but I never knew what was going on, and I passed by, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" And they all look at me like they want to kill me. and then I found out it was Magic, and I was like, all right, my friends told me about it, it was cool. But that atmosphere, being at your house and able to play against another person is an incredible concept. Able to show these new decks and these new ideas and new ways and new builds people can do, and at the same time have like, what was it, the thing, the website that you talked about a few times?
Gwent
while you were doing
database.
your videos? Yeah, the database. If that database, that company, the DB company, does it on almost every game. It's not just Gwent. It's not just everything else. They do it on a lot of games. But I know that because I've used them on other games. But that would be amazing because when it comes to like playing MOBAs, MMOs, things of the nature that I play all the time, I go on these websites to look at builds and all these concepts that people are doing to get better and then become better and see what I'm doing. But I sometimes sit down and look at it and I'm like, you know what? That's not my playstyle. And this what Shifu and that's what this black dude do. They sit down and they correlate and they understand and they put math to the thing and make great things out of this thing. And that's what you could do with your friends. And that's something that he showed me in Hearthstone the first time we went against each other. He just showed that he had all that math and everything else set up, and he said, "Look, I'm going to now crush you."
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but I remember it was the Patron Warrior deck. As a matter of fact, it was crazy math combo deck. Yeah, and I think that's a cool thing. That was actually an interesting take. Now, one good thing about Gwent is there is going to be, by the way, feels bad, a single player and a multiplayer part of the game. So it will have both the best of both worlds for you. And that's actually interesting. You know, when you brought that up, and Death of the Loving, I know you're kind of out right now in this conversation, but I don't think anything will be able. I know I love multiplayer card games, but I don't think anything will be able to capture the feel for me. And I've been playing card games for a long time, almost 25 plus years of card game playing experience. And I'll never going into a store, a comic book store, generally is where they were, and being able to sit at a table with a bunch of your peers and to play a game in a sense of community. I think that's really hard to replicate online because it's just you and a computer. Which was Shannon feels bad was getting a point of where he kind of was in a bookstore and there's like that awesome community, and then there's weekly tournaments. I used to look forward to Friday nights, and unfortunately I wasn't looking forward to dating. I was looking forward to going and play Magic. So like, you know, it was always there, and
you gotta know your true priorities, my friend.
right.
And you got it down.
like Death the Loving, he would cringe at. So I'm asking you a question, Death of Loving. So you're a new age gamer. Would you prefer online multiplayer? Let's just change the subject. This is actually a good subject. Let's just go online versus like the new age of card playing versus old. Would you want to go to a store and play now, or would you prefer the multiplayer?
We're talking about card games?
Card games, yeah.
Card games in particular, I think I would rather go into a store and play because there's just something about holding a deck in your hand. Like, you know, it's like. Yeah,
He did say deck in his hand. He did say deck, a hard E. He did say hard. Something about holding a deck in your hand. And go ahead.
Yeah, a deck of cards in my hand.
This conversation went dark.
Right, it did. Well,
went after dark.
Right, Stretch wrote thing. Women's come and go, but games are forever. That's awesome. That's right. And he did say deck in his hand.
Yeah, so you hold the deck in your hand, and you can bring it, and like when you beat somebody with it, it's just like look at my deck. It is just better than yours. You let them hold it. So
Oh.
Oh shit.
Wait.
But, no,
Deep and dark.
but no, I just think going in is card games is just a little bit better. I feel like, in my opinion.
So you'd prefer going in and playing and letting other people play with your deck in a group of people that were in a room as opposed to online playing with your deck?
Yeah, because like, for example, Tabletop Simulator is what I've been playing with. It's not exactly, holding my deck, but it's like a virtual deck that I can hold because, it's almost the same. That's why I like playing on Tabletop.
Here's another part of that, and I like where he's going with it, but I want to add on to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of people that are in the gaming industry know what RNG is.
Yeah, oh yeah.
RNG in a deck on a computer is a whole lot different than RNG with a deck in your hand.
Ah, that's a good point. Go on, that's good. Yeah.
So it's a natural RNG. Like, you can't really control it. You can't expect it. You can't understand it. It's all about like shuffling the card and getting the right card for you. That can screw you, or it can make you better. Because anything, I adapt. That's my best thing that I do in my life. I adapt, and adapting to a change of a deck online versus what you have in your hand is a concept that is unique because you can't control it. You can't expect it. It's all in the RNG of you actually shuffling the cards and then dropping the first card.
Yeah.
Well, to go on what Death said, and we had fun with the whole deck thing. That was really funny. But yeah, there is something about the tactile sensation of being able to shuffle your own cards, cutting your opponent's cards, and then Shannon had God, dog, sorry. Feels Bad had a great. I know, right? I'm old. Feels Bad had a great thing about like the RNG aspect. I mean, that was great. Now that's one thing that when I originally kind of were bouncing, but that's a great idea. Like, it's a good topic. It's one of the things that I originally loved about this game was it was so not Hearthstone, because in the Witcher 3 you had 10 cards, a finite amount of resources unless you had spies, but generally 10 cards versus 10 cards, and you had 3 rounds to allocate those resources to win the game. And that was so definite and finite that was addictive. It was really, really, really like chess. And this was something we were going to talk about with Ruben, but we had a great topic, but let's just kind of delve into a little bit. So it was great. It was anti-Hearthstone. Nothing wrong with Hearthstone, but Hearthstone now is complete RNG, which Shannon talked on, which made me think about it. But one of the things that about it was now this new Gwent is, and I hate to say this, I've been an anti-new Gwent, or I didn't like the way it looked like it was going, but this new Gwent to me is far superior to classic Gwent. I love this new Gwent. Playing with Death to Loving on a certain apparatus we can't really talk about was fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic. I can't say the name of the thing, though. I can't. Sorry, but we know play the game against each other with card games, and we're trying to get Feels Bad in here. But yeah, Hearthstone just went way too much RNG, and this everybody's saying, well, it's too much RNG. But I don't think it is. I think it's really, really. It's not as hard. It's not as hard resource management wise as it was previously, but it's still a very good chess tactical game compared to Hearthstone. And Death Loving, what do you think? Now you've played both. You have a good experience with Hearthstone, and you now have a lot of experience with this new style, new Gwent. So what do you think of RNG for both games?
Okay, I think the RNG in Hearthstone is ridiculous. Like, you might as well just, each person has a set of die, and whoever rolls the highest wins.
Yeah.
But in Gwent, I like the idea of drawing 2 and then 1, because even in poker, like, which I assume is Gwent's closer to poker with RNG than Hearthstone, because poker you have your Texas Hold'em, you have your 2 cards, and then you flip 3, and then 1, and then 1. So you still have that, like, it's still just like poker. You get the same amount of cards, like, that are random, but it's not like too much. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just I think it's a nice balance, because if you start off with just 10, and then you don't get a spy like in The Witcher 3. Like if you have 10 cards and your deck is built around spy, and you don't get a spy, you're done. You might as well just end the game. But at least you can lose that round. You can make the person play all their good cards, lose that round, and then try to see if hopefully you can get 2 good cards. It's not like you're not drawing a new hand. It's just 2. And 2 can make a difference, but it's not gonna like change the game. Maybe like it might, but it's not gonna always change it. So
That's interesting. Now, one thing about Death of Loving and I, we've played a lot of games on my Skellige Wound deck versus his Monster Weather deck, and a good comment from our audience, Stretch, who, man, you're awesome. This is what he said: New Gwent is good, but it isn't really much like classic Gwent. I totally agree, and I feel like we are missing passive buffs and nerfs like old Commander's Horn and such. Weather is the only passive nerf buff right now, and it just feels off. It's a great comment. I would tend to agree with a lot of what you said, but I think there are still some good buffs and nerfs. So, for example, the Skellige Wound deck, you put a Young Berserker out and the bear swipes it, it gets a buff. Plus, there are little ways inside Northern Realms you can pump up, and there's just a lot of in the monster decks. We'll kind of touch into that as we go, but there's a lot of ways to buff now that are inside card interaction. So it's not just like a Commander's Horn, like classic Gwent, but it's more of like a Monster's Nest or a different thing that promotes 2 for every one of these cards. Dwarven buffs, where the more dwarves you play, the more buffs you get. And it's more, I think it promotes more card synergy than just having Commander's Horn on a row.
Can I make an example about that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Step in, everybody. Yeah.
Like, for example, there's this one card, I believe it's called Wild Hunt Warrior. It's a 4, comes out as a 4, and when it does 1 damage something and kills it, or destroys it, it gets +2. So if you have Frost on the board, anything on that row, you can destroy and get +2. Also, the Ancient Foglet, if it's in fog, the start of your next turn gets +2. There's also, like, there's discard decks that whenever it's brought back from the graveyard, it gets plus a certain amount. Or monsters that when you play them, you can absorb a creature, take it out of the game from the graveyard, get buffs. So I think it's like you said, it's more in the cards themselves than relying on those 3 Commander's Horns. That this time maybe you just need 1 because you have so much buffs from inside the cards themselves.
Yeah, like that's an awesome point. So one of the decks I'm gonna shoot a video on tomorrow is a Northern Realms deck, and I'm really excited about it. We've Death of Loving is my deck tester. He and I are really synergizing, and we're trying to get Feels Bad into it so we can really talk about it next show. But anyway, we've been deck testing on all these different concepts, and then we've been playing against each other and seeing how that works out. And so, for example, Northern Realms, just give you a little prelude into the deck tomorrow. Northern Realm, and I think Death of Loving can attest to this, is a highly, highly offensive, pumpable deck that constantly rolls, right?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
No, it's good. So they feed off each other, and then there's ways that I don't even need Commander's Horn. Poor infantry, and then buffs, right, exactly. So I'll be unveiling that tomorrow. But that's why I really feel that there needs to be a new Gwent and a classic Gwent, because it would be such a cool thing to just take a break and play one or the other. So Feels Bad. Are we leaving you out here? Are you kind of following? What are you thinking about that?
I'm watching. I'm watching the situation, and I actually want to make a comment on what you just said.
Go ahead.
The classic Gwent versus the new Gwent, and having it a separate beast.
Yeah.
That's an amazing idea, because I look at everything like I play other games. So a lot of people make servers on World of Warcraft that are like vanilla and Burning Crusade and all the other favorites of everybody's thing. They only go to that freaking expansion, and that's the end of it. And they only keep that content from that expansion, so everybody loves and sees what it was like back in the day. Same thing with the original Gwent versus the new Gwent. Everybody can enjoy new Gwent, but have the old Gwent on the side if you just want to jam out to the old stuff like the classics. And you can start understanding that the new Gwent is just as good as the old Gwent. You get more and more familiar with both sides of the story, and where they're going and what they were doing before. And that's the one thing that I can say right now in my life right now, that old World of Warcraft was always my number one foremost thing that I always did. And I always loved it. I always loved vanilla. I always loved Burning Crusade. But I never went on those test rounds because I always stayed to the forefront of everything, and there was always a reason to play it. I already saw that concept. So you can go back to old, remember what's going on, and then go back to the new and see how you can enjoy it a little bit more by seeing all the things that happen. Your fan base, Stretch, I think is the name of the guy.
Yeah.
I can't see any of that, by the way. I'm just kind of winging it. But he says a lot of things that's pretty ideal. He's kind of staying to what was his favorite things versus what he actually sees now. And he's looking at the decks that they were before and now looking at what is after. He's kind of like pushing forward to the past, more to the future. But maybe if you can get into like, was it CK? What is the name of the company that makes Witcher and all the card games and everything?
CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, they if you can get to them, like they are probably considered the greatest company to make games on this face of this world. If you can get on them on the forums and try to say, hey, we love the way you're going, but at least try to think about like doing these kind of things because that's what people would love. And I guarantee you they will think about it. It's not the idea they will do it or anything, but they'll think about it. And that's a main focus of a good company.
That's a good point. That's a great point. And matter of fact, there has been some discussions behind the scenes and stuff. Nothing I can reveal. Not that I'm in any kind of way to reveal anything, but I'm sure there's going to be. I have a feeling there might be a classic and a new Gwent. And so we're getting some feedback from the audience crowd. It looks like we're having some speaker issues. Yeah, I hear that click sound too. We're working on resolving it. I don't know why it's happening. It just started. I apologize for that. I don't know. He's saying it's both of death and feels bad, man. Feels bad. Sorry. That whenever y'all are talking, there's a clicking sound. So it must be my speaker. But if I put my headphones in, it mutes y'all too much. So let's try the headphone back, I guess, and see if that will work better. And let's see. Talk now, any one of you?
Hello.
How's it going?
I still hear it.
You still hear it in there?
Yeah, it's very subtle, but yeah, it's like a clicking sound. So, I mean, I hear them there. Yeah, it's
The light.
The light. The light, yeah. Okay, so sorry about that. We'll have to kind of see if we can edit that down some kind of way. So I'll take it out since it's already.
Take it out.
All right, so sorry about that. So we're going back. But go back to. I want to go back to. There's a good comment from Stretch. So he says a lot. True, but I would like a silver gold card maybe that has a passive buff or nerf, which could be played first, and play cards after that get affected by it rather than having to use them after your rows are built up. You could also buff more by making opponents think you have cards to play other than passive buff is played and make them hold out on certain cards, etc. That's a great point. And that's an interesting point about that. That's one of the things that, if there's a negative I could say about New Gwent, it's that the resource management isn't as crucial as it was in Classic Gwent. And that's one of the things I loved about Classic Gwent, is that the resource management was so crucial, and you could bluff. Excuse me. For those that play to kill the server or then playing on that other apparatus to test the theory craft, has anyone found that resource management and bluffing works as well? I don't think so. Death to Loving, have you found that bluffing or resource management became an issue?
I think it did because, I mean, I still think it's not as important, but I still think it's very important because if you still start off with 10 cards, so if you blow all your cards on the first turn trying to get that win, and you come in, you only get 2 cards, and there's not much that you can do with 2 cards. So it's still like whatever the other person is up when the round ends, you're still gonna be up that much. Like if you're up by 2 cards. You're both drawing 2 cards. You're still going to be up by 2 cards. So it's still, I think, it's important, but it's not as like you can play that extra card and you don't have to worry about it as much. Kind of put it on the back burner and kind of cross that bridge when it comes to it. You have that little net of 2 cards coming in. And then vice versa, in the second round, you can go all out. Like, if like you have to win this round, and so you have to go all out. Like, let's say you lose the first round, so the second round you have to win. You play all your cards. Then the third round you automatically lose. Instead you get that 1 extra card. Hopefully it's enough, or that would be hero power or whatever it may be. So you have that little last gas, that puncher's chance, as it were, to win.
That's good. That's great. And I don't know if the clicking. We were working on the clicking. I was listening to you, and you're right. I totally agree with what you just said. I like it, right? Like, I like the fact that you can draw cards, and especially now that all the cards synergize, as opposed to just having Commander's Horn that does everything. You need more cards to get it to work, right? How many times have we played a game and it came down to, like, I have a very control-y deck that's rated pretty high right now, and he has a very control-y monster deck that he's going to put on here soon. And what are the final scores all the time of the rounds?
11, 7, 15, 8, 20, 19. It's really close, within 5 points. Not above 20.
Yeah, and I'm talking about that's even a high-scoring game for us. Sometimes the games are 8 to 7.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just good. I mean, resource management's huge. I really hope, and I'm putting him on the spot here. Feels bad. Are you gonna join us in the apparatus talked about in Theory Craft with us?
You really feel bad about putting me on the spot?
No.
I have a feeling you bastard. I will sit down and check it out whenever I have time. I'm always doing something, but I did like Gwent for the little amount of time that I sat down and watched it, and I did watch your videos, and I did get a little bit more measure of what was going on, and I did enjoy it. I will do, like, if I can get a hold of it and learn the ins and outs of everything, yes, I will start doing the theory crafting and understanding and do all those things. But until then, I'll just wing it.
Sounds good. Okay, so Stretch has another great comment. Now the resource management just seems like new players can use cards in hand in any order and have less punishment. That's a great point. Even in Kill the Servers event, there was still better resource management, but we will have to see in the beta, I suppose. Yes, I think that it's much. That's, man, Stretch, great comments. I think that the game has definitely changed. It's totally different, and you get punished less for just being more carefree with the cards. I found myself when I was playing against Death the Loving that I could be much more, hey, I'll just play this. I know I have 2 more cards coming. Let's see what it brings. Like RNG, right? And I found myself getting kind of sick to my stomach because I felt like it was Hearthstone. Like, what do I draw here? What can I get myself out of a jam? I need to draw something good. But then there's another aspect to it, and then this is where it feels bad. You can jump in on this one and speak to it. Do you need RNG to be a successful viewership? I mean, I think that what brings a lot of people into Hearthstone and what keeps them watching is always number 1 or 2 on Twitch, is that you don't know what's going to happen turn to turn. Like, the RNG sells. What do you think? Start with feels and then go to death.
Here's the thing. I watch Twitch every so often. I'm not a huge Twitcher. I was a person when I was a kid. I didn't like watching people play the damn game. I wanted to play the game. That was my experience in life. And when I did watch like Twitch, they were not top 1 or 2. They were like 3 or 4 or 5. They were dropping quite drastically at times. And when it came down to it, RNG can make a game or destroy it. It may be making the game because it's freaking Blizzard. Everybody plays Blizzard games. I had the problem with sucking the tit of Blizzard for entirely too long in my life, and now I've opened to their game and hope to God they don't burn me this time around. But I don't think it's as popular as it points out to be. I think it's just a lot of people just streaming it and a lot of people not watching it. and I think it's a dying fad. Like that single game, like, is kind of losing its steam. RNG is needed for all car games because it's built around that. You need RNG, but being like what Death said was a roll of a dice wins the game would it would break the game. Like, it would not make me want to play the game. I wouldn't like the idea of like having that one person on luck destroy me at a whim to a point I can't do anything and there's nothing else I can do to get out of it. And what he said also was if somebody can do that in Gwent, the next round he can come back and hit it right. That's something that makes Gwent a little more strategic, where it makes a Hearthstone look like checkers, and it makes Gwent look like chess.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. And I think that I love what Death of Loving said with the Hearthstone's like whoever rolls a higher dice wins. That's like such a great phrase, Death. And then great piggyback, feels bad on that. I totally agree. Um, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, but unfortunately, I mean, I don't. Whenever I watch Twitch, I don't know. Hearthstone's always one or two, or actually, if League of Legends and Dota 2 are always one and two. Hearthstone's usually three or four, and that's the big dog in the room right now. That they're just the big one, and I think it's because that anybody can pick it up and have a chance to beat anybody because it's all roll of the dice, like you said, or like Death said, and you really did a good job of elaborating on. I think, and that's what makes Gwent better. And I just think it's better. I think it's, but is it? I think they've added RNG to the game with new Gwent, definitely over classic Gwent. Do you think that just having just a little bit of RNG, and I'll go this to Death here. Do you think having just a little bit of RNG is good? Before you answer, Death, here's a Stretch. He said RNG is quite fun to watch and keeps games feeling fresh and not so predictable. Indeed, Gwent is walking that line pretty well for now, in my opinion. I would like to see round 3 card draw removed, though, because it can come down to who draws that better final card. Totally agree again. All right, so Death, what do you think?
Okay, so I'm gonna respond to the comment. I think that where like every card game you play, no matter what it is, you're gonna have some kind of RNG, and that's just the card draw, like the luck of the draw. But what Hearthstone differs is that every card it brings a random effect. I'm hearing some kind of reverb in the back. I don't know if anyone else is hearing.
We were trying something with the. I'm sorry. We were trying something with the mics.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, the luck of the draw. So I think that while that is a factor, it's much different from Hearthstone because Hearthstone, almost every card also does a random effect. Like the Stable Portal brings just a random creature. Like of all the cards in the game, just bring something out. Like some cards bring a random thing with them. Some cards do damage to random cards. Some cards play 10 spells randomly to random things that may hurt or destroy you. Whereas Gwent is just a card. Like I think there's only I think there's a couple cards that do a random effect, but it's more like draw a random card from your deck, which really is basically like if you just took the deck, shuffled it, and picked the card off the top. Like it's random, but it's not like you win the game. Like Yogg Saron, where it's just like for every spell that was played, play a random spell that does that. So I think that the third round card draw, however, it can be whoever draws the better final card. If you have played all your cards up to that point, to where that's the last card that you have, either you're in a really good game or you haven't been smart with your resources. Maybe if you don't want that last card to be your only card, then you kind of just know when to fold the cards, know when to pass, so that you're not coming down to that last card, or that's your Hail Mary pass. So that you have like 2 cards in your hand, then that's just the third card. So something like that. So I think I like that.
So when
I can see how you wouldn't like it because it is more RNG added to the game.
So what you're saying is you have to know when to hold them and then know when to fold them?
Well, you also have to know when to play.
Okay, sorry. Kenny Rogers in the house? Okay, moving on. I'm old,
Man.
right?
But one thing that you never do is you never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
Nice. Way to bring it in. Okay, so Stretchy had a great comment. I think there might be too many wounding cards as of right now. What do you guys think? Any ideas for other card abilities? Okay, so Stretchy, this is near and dear to my heart. Or Stretch near and dear to my heart. As you know, I just made a Skellige wound deck. And I will tell you this. Death of Loving is going to unveil one of the best monster decks I've ever seen. Hopefully soon on Gwent DB. And without wound, there's no way to beat this deck. It is absolutely lethal. And without wound, you can't control it. Now, as a control-y player, now this is something that everybody here can answer because you all have your own style of playing cards, right? So I'm more of the control nature, controlling the board and crushing your enemy's will to live. Death of Loving is more of a swarm-based player. What are you, Feels Bad? What kind of card player generally are you?
I haven't played enough to really actually have a strategy.
Okay, so knowing Feels Bad like I do, I think he would be kind of a very aggressive player, and then also control. I think he could go either way, and I'm not making any judgments on his personal life. So, okay. Anyway, so I like
aggressive and control. All right.
All right. I know. I was about to say. I was like that. Yeah, I love control decks are the way to go as far as my opinion. No judgments. Now, one thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to talk about the wounding.
Wounding. So thank you. Get back on point. I think wounding is super critical for control and adds an element of control to the game. But I'd be interested to see how an aggro player thinks. Death.
I think that the wounding. I think that there are a lot of wounding cards, like an incredible amount. But I don't think that the necessarily that. I just think that I think that take it down to one and leave it on the board like a weather, or even, take it down to zero even. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of wounding, and I think you're right about that. I think, but any other ideas for card abilities? Maybe an ability that you can like destroy card choice instead of the highest card. If you like to make a deck of big cards, just scorch. So maybe like a legendary that you destroy a card, like a kill, or execute a wounded. So it's wounded, you can like execute it or something similar. I don't know.
Well, that's interesting because one of the things that changed is that one of the major changes that I made a lot of dragon control decks, and one of the things that changed in this new Gwent is Akvist, Villametromirth, and Murderbrock are pretty much, well, they're completely different. Akvist and Murderbrock are now no longer Scorch cards, they're more Wound cards. So they really go into synergy, whereas Villametromirth are now, he's called Bork Jackdaws, 3 Jackdaws from the books, which is awesome. He's more of now a weird Scorch. So anyway, it's interesting. It changes more. The game is moving away from Scorches and big moves like you were talking about to more wounding. Big time, especially because Scorch, you can only have 1 Scorch now as opposed to 3, so huge difference. I think this has been great. I just want to say something real quick. I can't thank Feels Bad, Death of Loving, and Stretch, who's become our 4th co-host tonight, for really saving a really rough start. We had a really rough start with a lot of cancels and no-shows and things. And I think we had some great conversations tonight. I think everybody did really well. So I kind of want to end this on a positive. I'm kind of cutting the conversation short. I think we can keep on going for hours, but I think it's a good place to call it. Some good positive momentum. So what I want to do is I want to leave final thoughts of the show. I say goodbyes, final thoughts. Let's start with Feels Bad.
I like it. I dig it. I like the idea that I'm in a realm where I don't know a lot, which doesn't happen much. The only other gaming genre that I never was really hardcore into was MOBAs, and I've actually got hardcore into it. So this is the only thing that I've not really touched base on. So something new for me. And thank you for having me. I had a good time.
Thank you, sir. Death?
I want to say thank you for having me. I know it was kind of a last minute improv ad, so I wanted to say thank you for thinking of me. Yeah, I think that Gwent, I think the way Gwent's going, I think it could be as big or maybe bigger than he who shall not be named. So I think it's gonna be good. I think that the idea of classic Gwent and original and like new Gwent is great. I like it how you can, like, let's say you're losing RNG, you're having really bad luck. Maybe you go to classic Gwent and you just play. Like I don't need to worry about this crazy bad luck that I'm having. So stuff like that. But I think that the Gwent could be big. I'm hoping that it is because I enjoy playing it. It's really one of the first card games that I've enjoyed playing. So yeah, thank you for having me. That's all.
I just want to say thank you both. It meant a lot to me that y'all stepped up and were here tonight. It was rough. You guys really pulled through and had some great comments, man. It honored me to have you on the show. And I just want to say something. Stretch made a great comment. And Stretch, man, thank you so much for carrying the audience participation tonight. We're going to do a different time. We're going to make it earlier and more user-friendly. I had tailored this show for certain people, and none of them showed up. And these two gentlemen stepped up and were here and brought it. I thought that Feels Bad had some really insightful and great comments. He's going to be a treasure for this show. I think the Death of Loving, I mean, we're talking about literally 3 minutes before the show. He stepped in and brought the wood and did a great job. So, I mean, brought the deck. Yeah, he brought his big deck to the play, and we all enjoyed it, and that just went awkward. So, but to answer your question, for the next episode, to have a focus on maybe a deck or certain topic going depth, I totally agree, and that's where we were going to go. Unfortunately, with drop-ins, dropouts, and my two co-hosts don't have a wealth of knowledge on lore and the decks. So it was unfair. Like, for example, Death of Loving and I could probably go into a really good Skellige monster discussion, but that would leave Feels Bad out, which would make me feel bad. And so I tried to make it, tailored it to where we could all participate and have things to say. And really, last minute is really difficult. So, no, what you made, thank you. I appreciate it. We can certainly go into monster versus... Because I'll tell you now, Death of Loving and I have played literally... How many hours have we played Soyatel versus monsters?
Well, which I made 2 monster decks.
Well, I mean, just in general.
Wait, one final comment. I love oh yeah, okay, then like I don't know, 12 hours roughly in the past couple days, 2 days maybe.
Right. What's your comment?
Oh, my comment was that I love how like I made 2 monster decks, and they're completely different from each other. One's a weather control. It doesn't get very high up in points, and then one's just like spiders and neckers and toads. Oh my, that's the name of it on the Gwent database. If you want to look it up, upload it.
Yes, he's gonna. I think he's gonna change his name to Death of Loving on the database and then redo it.
Oh, my name is Death of Loving.
It is now. It is Death. Okay. Well, there you go. Spiders.
Well, no, I'm sorry, Discord.
Yes.
Okay.
No problem. So anyway, so next week we're gonna look in depth. I think what we're gonna do next week is we're gonna delve into Skellige or monsters. Depends. And we're going to do a focus on the decks up to the launch. Maybe do some extra shows here and there. I will announce as we get closer. Anyway, leave some comments. We're going to do some YouTube videos out of this, make it a podcast with all the warts and all. Thank y'all so much for those who attended, Stretch in particular, Cass as well. Sorry for the late night. Tried to put some things together. They all kind of fell through, but the show came out really well. Shifu the Cards signing out. Thank you again. Please like and follow. Thank y'all so much.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Yes, thank you.